A tale of betrayal, secrets, and unforgivable choices. The night my world collapsed was a quiet one. Rain tapped against the window, rhythmic, steady, like the heartbeat of a storm biding its time. It had been 3 months since I signed the divorce. 3 months since I packed my life into boxes and left the home I had built with Claire, and 3 months since I learned the truth. James, my mother's voice trembled through the phone. You need to come to dinner this Sunday. It's time. To forgive. Such a simple word, thrown so carelessly into the air. As if forgiveness could erase the image of my younger brother Daniel, standing in the doorway of my own house, shirt half buttoned, Claire beside him, wrapped in my bedsheets. I had walked, expecting nothing more than a quiet evening. Instead, I had found the two people I loved most in the world, tangled in a betrayal so deep it still burned through me like acid. Yet now, my parents, our parents, insisted I let it go. That family was more important. That blood was thicker than pain. I sat in my car outside their house, watching the lights flicker behind the curtains. Shadows moved inside. I imagined Daniel laughing with Dad, Claire setting the table, my mother waiting at the door with that hopeful look in her eyes. I clenched the steering wheel. I stepped out, a family divided. The dinner table was set like nothing had happened. My father's gruff voice welcomed me with forced warmth. My mother, ever the peacemaker, hovered nervously. And Daniel had the audacity to smile. "James," he said, raising his glass, "it's good to see you." I stared at him, at the man who had shattered my life and sat here expecting to toast as if we were boys again, as if this was just another night at the family table. I said nothing. Claire, sitting beside him, wouldn't meet my eyes. I wondered if she felt even a fraction of the shame she should. "James," my mother started gently, "we know this has been difficult, but Daniel, he loves her. And Claire," she was confused. My laugh was bitter, sharp as glass. "Confused? She was my wife." A silence stretched across the room, thick with tension. My father shifted uncomfortably. "Son," he said gruffly, "we don't want to lose this family over a mistake." "A mistake." I turned to Daniel. "Tell me something, little brother. Was it a mistake the first time, or just every time after that?" Claire flinched. Daniel's jaw tightened. "James," he said, softer this time, "I didn't mean for it to happen this way." "Then how exactly did you mean for it to happen?" I shot back. "Were you hoping to sit me down over drinks? Maybe tell me about it like a good brother? Or were you going to wait until she got pregnant first?" Claire gasped. My mother paled, and Daniel froze. That's when I knew. I exhaled sharply. A bitter smile twisted my lips. "Wow." My father coughed, shifting in his chair. My mother's hands trembled over the tablecloth. Claire looked as if she might be sick. And Daniel refused to meet my eyes. "Claire," I murmured, almost amused, "are you pregnant?" She opened her mouth, closed it again. The silence was enough. The final blow, I pushed my chair back slowly. The scraping sound cut through the tension like a blade. "James," my mother started again, desperate, pleading. "He's your brother. Please, say something." I turned to Daniel. "You always wanted what I had," I said quietly. "The trophies, the spotlight, the respect. I should have seen it coming." Then I looked at Claire. "And you. I loved you. I would have given you the world." I shook my head. "But I guess you preferred a smaller one." Daniel flinched. Claire swallowed hard. I reached for my coat. "You know what, Mom? Dad?" I exhaled, finally feeling something close to clarity. "Family doesn't mean sacrificing yourself for people who don't deserve it." Then I walked out. And, for the first time in 3 months, the rain didn't feel so heavy. The cold night air wrapped around me as I stepped outside, but it felt warmer than the house I had just left. The weight in my chest didn't disappear, but something shifted, like chains loosening after years of strangling me. I drove home in silence, my grip on the wheel steady, my mind replaying the evening like a crime scene on a detective's board. The evidence was clear. The betrayals were undeniable. And now there was nothing left to investigate, only to accept. But closure? That was something I wasn't sure I'd ever get. I parked in front of my apartment building, staring at the rain-dappled windshield. My mind kept circling back to one thing, Claire's face when I asked if she was pregnant. She didn't deny it. And Daniel, he froze. I stepped out of the car, my heart pounding faster than I wanted to admit. If Claire was pregnant, if Daniel knew, then my family had done more than ask me to forgive him. They had asked me to welcome the child he created with my wife. My ex-wife, I reminded myself. But the distinction didn't matter. I climbed the stairs to my apartment, locking the door behind me. The quiet was suffocating. I poured myself a drink, but it did nothing to dull the sharp edge of betrayal lodged deep in my chest. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, my mind churning with possibilities, questions I'd never get answers to until my phone buzzed. A single message from an unknown number. We need to talk. Urgent. It's about Claire. M. I frowned, my exhaustion vanishing. M? I stared at the message. No one in my circle signed their name with just an initial. I hesitated for a second before replying. Who is this? The response came almost immediately. Meet me at the coffee shop on 8th Street tomorrow morning. 10 a.m. You need to hear this. No name. No explanation. But something in my gut told me. Whatever this was, it wasn't over. Not even close. A stranger with answers, the next morning I arrived at the coffee shop 10 minutes early. My mind was sharp, my body tense. I scanned the room, searching for anyone suspicious, anyone watching me too closely. And then I saw her. A woman in her late 30s, sitting alone in the corner, her fingers curled around a steaming cup of coffee. She had dark eyes, a sharp, calculating gaze, one that met mine the second I walked in. She gestured to the seat across from her. "James," she said, as if she had known me forever. I sat slowly. "You said you had something to tell me." She nodded, taking a sip of her coffee. "I work in the same office as Claire. We were friends. Once, until I found out something I wasn't supposed to." I didn't move, didn't breathe. She leaned forward. "Claire's been lying to you?" I scoffed. "I figured that part out already." "No," she said firmly. "Not just about the affair, about the baby." Something cold and sharp twisted in my chest. I stared at her. "What are you saying?" She reached into her bag and pulled out a folder. She hesitated. For a second, then slid it across the table. "See for yourself." I opened it, and my entire world tilted, a truth worse than betrayal medical records, ultrasound reports. A name, one that wasn't Daniel's. It wasn't mine either. The baby wasn't. Daniel's child. It belonged to someone else entirely, a man whose name I didn't recognize. "She's been playing you both," the woman said, her voice quiet but heavy with meaning. "She had an affair with Daniel, yes, but she was also seeing someone else. When she found out she was pregnant, she let Daniel assume it was his. And your family," she exhaled, shaking her head. "They're too desperate to keep the peace to question it." I clenched my jaw, my mind spinning. Daniel had destroyed my marriage for a child that wasn't even his. My parents had begged me to forgive a betrayal that went even deeper than they realized, and Claire had turned us all into puppets, in her little game. I closed the folder slowly, my fingers pressing into the cheap manila cover. "What do you want from this?" I asked the woman. Her expression was unreadable. "I want the truth to come out." I met her gaze, and for the first time in months, I felt something close to satisfaction, because now I held the final piece of the puzzle, and it was time to set the whole damn thing on fire. I walked out of the coffee shop with the folder gripped tightly in my hand. The rain had stopped, but the storm inside me raged stronger than ever. Daniel had betrayed me. My parents had pressured me. But Claire? She had played all of us like a twisted game of chess, making us fight each other while she kept the biggest secret of all. I wasn't going to let her win. By the time I pulled up to my parents' house, my hands had stopped shaking. I had spent the entire drive rehearsing how this would go. I was done being the victim. I stepped out of the car, folder in hand, and knocked. My mother opened the door, eyes lighting up as if she thought I had come back to make amends. "James, you—" I walked past her. "We need to talk. Now." Daniel was in the living room, sipping coffee, looking smug. My father sat in his armchair, already exhausted. And Claire, she was there too, seated beside Daniel like she belonged there. The sight of them together no longer made my blood boil. Now I only saw two fools who had no idea what was coming. I tossed the folder onto the coffee table. "Open it," I said. Daniel frowned but obeyed, flipping through the pages. His eyes darted back and forth, confusion morphing into horror. Claire's face drained of color. My father leaned forward. "What is this?" I crossed my arms. "The truth. The child Claire is carrying, it's not Daniel's." Silence. My mother's hands flew to her mouth. Daniel looked like he had been punched in the gut. "Claire? Oh, Claire." She was frozen. Then, as if a switch flipped, she recovered. "James, this isn't what you think. Don't." I cut her off. "I've heard enough lies from you." She swallowed, glancing at Daniel, as if expecting him to defend her. But Daniel wasn't looking at her anymore. He was still staring at the documents, fingers trembling as he flipped through them again and again, as if searching for an alternate truth hidden between the lines. Finally, he looked up at Claire. "Tell me it's not true," he whispered. She opened her mouth, but no words came. Out! And that was all the confirmation he needed. The collapsed Daniel shot up from the couch, his coffee cup smashing to the floor. "You lied to me?" His voice was hoarse, disbelieving. Claire reached for him. Daniel, please, I was scared. I didn't know." He yanked away. "You didn't know what? Who the father was? Or how long you could keep lying to me?" She flinched. "I thought... You thought I'd raise another man's child like a fool?" His voice cracked. "Like I stole her from my brother for this?" For the first time in months, I saw Daniel not as the man who had ruined my marriage, but as something else entirely. Another, victim in Claire's twisted web, and yet I felt no sympathy. Claire turned to my parents, desperate. "I love him. This doesn't change that." My father stood, jaw tight. "You have some nerve, young lady, coming into our family with these lies." My mother just wept silently. Daniel let out a bitter, broken laugh. "You know what's funny? I thought I had beaten James." He looked at me, his eyes filled with something almost like regret. "I thought I had won, but I was just another idiot playing your game, wasn't I, Claire?" She shook her head furiously. No, I grabbed my coat. "I don't care what happens next," I said, voice even. "But don't expect me to be part of this family anymore," my mother gasped. "James, no!" I was willing to walk away with nothing but my dignity. I met Daniel's eyes. "You couldn't even let me have that." He swallowed hard but said nothing. Claire sobbed. "James, please." I turned away. As I stepped outside, I heard the chaos erupt behind me. Daniel shouting, Claire pleading, my parents desperately trying to pick up the shattered pieces of their broken illusions. But I didn't look back. I had my truth, and that was the only closure I needed. The final move 1 week later, I signed the paperwork selling my half of the family business. I moved across the country. I cut them all off, and for the first time in a long time, I finally felt free. Claire and Daniel, I heard things fell apart spectacularly. He didn't forgive her. My parents, humiliated, distanced themselves from both of them. But by then, I had already moved on. Because some betrayals don't deserve forgiveness. Some betrayals deserve an ending. And this was mine. Months passed. Seasons changed. And for the first time in a long time, I breathed freely. I had settled into a quiet life in Seattle, far from the town where my past lay in ruins. I had a new apartment overlooking the waterfront, a job that paid well enough, and most importantly, peace. No late-night calls from my mother begging me to come back. No texts from Daniel, drunk and remorseful. And no more ghosts of Claire haunting my every thought. Until one day, when the past found me again. A familiar name. It was an ordinary afternoon when my phone buzzed with a number I didn't recognize. Normally, I ignored unknown callers, but something in my gut told me to answer. "Hello?" A hesitant voice came through the line. "James, it's Megan." Megan, the woman who had exposed Claire's final betrayal. I sat up straighter. "Didn't expect to hear from you again." She let out a breath. "I know. I almost didn't call, but something's happened." I frowned. "What is it?" A pause. Then, "Claire's missing." The words hit like a shock of cold air. I gripped the phone tighter. "Missing? What do you mean?" "Vanished," Megan said. "She packed up, left town, and no one's seen or heard from her in weeks." A slow, uneasy feeling crawled up my spine. Claire wasn't the type to disappear without a dramatic exit. "Daniel?" I asked. "He's a mess," Megan admitted. "After you left, things spiraled. He broke off the engagement. Your parents cut ties with him for a while. And Claire, she just unraveled. Then one day, she was gone." I exhaled, running a hand through my hair. "James," Megan hesitated. "I think she might be looking for you, the ghost of the past." That night, I double-checked the locks on my door. Wasn't afraid of Claire, but I knew her. I knew how she manipulated, how she thrived on drama. And if she was looking for me, it meant she had a plan. I didn't have to wait long to find out what it was. The next morning, I stepped out of my apartment and found an envelope taped to my door. No address, no return name, just my name, written in a familiar looping script. Claire. I ripped it open, my pulse hammering. Inside was a single note. "You took everything from me. Now it's my turn. See you soon." See, the game isn't over. I stared at the letter, my heart beat slow and steady. Claire was out there, watching, plotting. But she had already made one mistake. She thought I was still the man who once loved her. She had no idea who I had become. And this time, I wouldn't let her win. The days that followed were quiet. Too quiet. But I knew better than to believe in coincidences. Claire's note wasn't just a warning. It was a promise. And she was never the type to make empty promises. I started noticing small things. A black sat parked too long across the street from my apartment. The subtle feeling of being watched at the grocery store. The anonymous call I answered, only to hear breathing on the other end before the line went dead. Claire was playing her game, but I wasn't the same man she had left broken months ago. I wasn't going to play fair. Setting the trap if Claire wanted. To haunt me, I'd force her out of the shadows. I called Megan. "I need you to do something for me." She hesitated. "What kind of something?" "Find out where Claire is staying, who she's talking to. Anything." A pause. "You think she's dangerous?" I exhaled. "I think she's desperate. And desperate people? They were the most dangerous of all." Claire's next move, it didn't take long. 3 days later, Megan called back. "She's here." I stiffened. "Seattle." "Yes. She's been renting an Airbnb under a fake name. But that's not the worst part." My grip on the phone tightened. "What is?" Megan took a breath. "She's been asking about you, at your work, at your usual bar. Even at your gym." A slow, simmering rage built inside me. Claire wasn't hiding. She was hunting. The confrontation. That night, I didn't go home. I went to her. The Airbnb was a rundown apartment on the edge of the city. I parked a block away and approached quietly, my heart a steady drumbeat of resolve. Light glowed from behind the curtains. She was inside. I knocked. Silence. Then the door creaked open just an inch, and there she was. Claire, disheveled, thinner than before, but with the same calculating gleam in her eyes. "James," she breathed, her lips curling into a slow smile. "I was wondering when you'd come." I stepped forward, my voice cold. "You've been looking for me." Her smile widened. "Of course, we have unfinished business," I scoffed. "We? No, Claire, you lost. This is over." She tilted her head, studying me. "Is it?" I held up her note. "You took everything from me. Now it's my turn. What the hell does that mean?" She stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "It means, James?" She trailed a fingertip down, my chest, her touch ice cold. "I'm not done ruining your life yet." I grabbed her wrist, firm but controlled. "Try anything, and you'll regret it." She laughed softly, darkly. "Oh, James, you still think you're in control?" Then she leaned in, her lips just inches from my ear. "You should check your apartment." The final betrayal. I didn't waste time. I sped back to my place, my pulse thundering with every mile. When I reached my door, I already knew. It was unlocked. Inside, the living room was wrecked, papers scattered, drawers open, clothes ripped from my closet. She had been here. She had gone through everything. And then I saw it. A single envelope, placed neatly on the kitchen counter. Inside, a photograph of me. Taken yesterday, with a note written on the back. "Sleep tight, James. This is just the beginning." See, endgame. Claire had declared war. But she had no idea what she had just unleashed. I picked up my phone, dialing Megan. "Find out everything on Claire," I said. "Where she's been, who she's been talking to, every single move she's made since she left town." Megan hesitated. "James, what are you planning?" I looked at the torn-apart remnants of my home. Thought about the years Claire had stolen from me. I thought about the look in her eyes when she whispered that she wasn't done. I clenched my jaw. "I'm going to end this." A dangerous game. Megan worked fast. By the next morning, she had a name. Daniel. I stiffened. "What about him?" "He's been talking to Claire again." She reached out to him. "James." The air around me went still. After everything, the lies, the affair, the betrayal, she had gone back to Daniel. I had walked away from my family, left them to deal with the wreckage. But now Claire was circling back, and Daniel, stupid, broken Daniel, was letting her. I exhaled, gripping the phone. "Where is he?" Megan hesitated. "You really want to go down this road?" "Tell me where he is." A beat. Then she sighed. "He's staying at a hotel downtown. Room 614. I grabbed my keys. Claire wanted to play? Fine. But this time, I wasn't the pawn. Face to face, the hotel was one of those sleek, expensive places, the kind Daniel had always liked. The kind that made people feel important. I found his room easily. I knocked once. No answer. I knocked again. Harder this time. Shuffling. Then the door opened a crack, and there he was. Daniel, hair messy, dark circles under his eyes, looking 10 years older than when I last saw him. His eyes widened when he saw me. "James?" I shoved past him. He barely resisted. The room was a mess. Half-empty liquor bottles, clothes strewn across a chair, and there on the bedside table, a single wine. Glass, still wet. Claire had been here. I turned back to him. "Where is she?" Daniel ran a hand through his hair, sighing. "I don't know." "Bullshit." "I don't." His voice cracked. "She was here last night, showed up out of nowhere saying she wanted to talk, that she wanted to fix things." I let out a bitter laugh. "And you believed her?" He looked away. "I wanted to." Of course he did. Even after all the lies, all the destruction, Daniel was still the same weak fool. "She left this morning," he muttered. Didn't say where she was going. I studied him. He looked like hell. Worse than I'd ever seen him. Maybe Claire hadn't just broken me. Maybe she had broken both of us. I exhaled. "If she contacts you again, you call me. Understood?" Daniel hesitated, then nodded. As I walked out, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was running out of time. Claire wasn't just playing a game anymore. She was planning her final move. The fire starter that night, I barely slept. I kept expecting her to show up. Another note. Another violation of my space. Instead, my phone rang at 3 a.m. Megan. Her voice was urgent. "James, there's something you need to see." 20 minutes later, I met her at a gas station on the outskirts of town. She was leaning against her car, her face pale. She handed me her phone. I glanced down. A video. I pressed play. The footage was grainy from a security camera, but the scene was clear. A woman, standing outside my apartment building. Claire. She was holding something, a red canister, gasoline, and then she struck a match. The screen filled with fire. I clenched my jaw. My apartment, my home, burned by Claire, on purpose. Megan swallowed. "James, she's gone off the rails. No more games. No more warnings. Claire wasn't just trying to ruin my life. She was trying to destroy me, and now it was my turn. To end this, once and for all. The fire department had contained the damage, but my apartment was unlivable. The scent of burnt wood and melted plastic still clung to my clothes as I stood outside the wreckage, watching the firefighters pack up. Claire had escalated. This wasn't manipulation. It wasn't mind games. This was war, and I wasn't going to let her win. A final lead Megan met me later that morning at a diner. She slid into the booth, her face drawn with exhaustion. I found her. I straightened. "Where?" She checked. "Into a motel under another fake name. Cheap place near the waterfront." I exhaled. "How long has she been there?" "Just one night." She paid in cash, which meant she was planning to move again soon. I pushed my coffee aside. "I need to talk to her." Megan hesitated. "James." She burned. "My apartment, Megan." I met her gaze. "This ends today." She sighed but nodded. "Be careful." I slid out of the booth. I wasn't worried about me. I was worried about how far Claire was willing to go. The last confrontation. The motel was as run down as I expected. Flickering neon lights, cracked pavement, the scent of old cigarettes hanging in the air. Room 108, I stood outside the door, took a breath, and knocked. Silence. Then, footsteps. The door creaked open just an inch, and there she was. Claire. She looked different. Not the confident, manipulative woman I had known. She was pale, her once perfectly styled hair now tangled, dark circles under her eyes. But her smirk? That was still there. "You found me," she murmured. I pushed inside before she could. Stop me, shutting the door behind me. The motel room was bare. A half-packed bag sat on the bed. A single lamp flickered in the corner. I turned to her. You set my apartment on fire. She let out a soft laugh. You always did love your dramatic accusations. I clenched my jaw. I saw the footage. She tilted her head. Then you know I was just sending a message. I stepped closer. Claire, this is over. The lies, the manipulation, the games. Whatever sick revenge you think you're getting, it stops now. Her smirk wavered. For the first time, I saw something flicker in her expression. Fear. I pressed on. You have nothing left. No more control over me. No more power over Daniel. My parents won't take you in. So what's your plan, Claire? Another scheme? Another man to ruin? She swallowed, her hands shaking slightly. I never wanted it to end like this, she whispered. I scoffed. Bullshit. You wanted to burn my entire life to the ground. And now that you've lost, you expect me to feel sorry for you? Her eyes darted to the half-packed bag on the bed. She was running, not just from me, from everything. I stepped forward, lowering my voice. You can keep running, Claire, but it won't change what you are, and it won't erase what you've done. Her breath hitched. A knock on the door. Her body stiffened. I turned. A male voice from the other side. Claire, open up. We need to talk. Daniel, of course. I shot her a look. You called him? Her lips parted, but no words came. I exhaled, stepping back. This is your last chance, Claire. If you ever come near me again, if you ever try to pull me back into your mess, I won't just walk away next time. For the first time in her life, Claire looked small. I turned, yanked the door open, and there was Daniel, eyes bloodshot, jaw clenched. But before he could speak, I brushed past him. She's all yours. I didn't look back. The aftermath. 3 days. Later, I got a call from Megan. You're not gonna believe this, she said. I sighed. Try me. Claire's gone. I frowned. Gone where? No one knows. She left the motel that night. Didn't contact Daniel. No credit card activity. No phone pings. Vanished. I exhaled. She'll turn up eventually. But weeks passed, then months. And Claire? She never did. A new beginning. I rebuilt my life, moved to a new city, got a new job, cut off every toxic tie from my past. And Claire? Maybe she found a new victim. Maybe she started over. Or maybe, just maybe, she finally ran out of games to play. Either way, I never saw her again, and I never looked back. The end. A shadow in the past years passed. Life moved forward. I had a new home, a new job, a new sense of peace. Claire was just a ghost of the past, one I had buried deep, until the day she came back. An unexpected letter, it arrived on a rainy afternoon. Simple white envelope tucked into my mailbox. No return address, just my name. My stomach twisted as I tore it open. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Did you miss me? My fingers clenched around the letter. It wasn't signed. It didn't need to be. I knew who it was from. Claire, the first clue. For weeks, nothing else happened. No calls, no sightings. But I knew better than to believe she had vanished for good. Claire never sent messages without a purpose. She was waiting, watching. And then, one evening, as I walked home from work, I saw it. A woman, standing across the street, too far to make out her face. But something about the way she stood, the tilt of her head, the way her dark hair moved in the wind. It was her. Before I could react, a car passed between us, and when it was gone, so was she. The final game begins. Claire had returned. But this time, I wasn't going to be her prey. This time, I would find her first, and when I did, I would end this, for good, to be continued. I didn't sleep that night. Claire had come back. But for what? Revenge? Closure? Some final sick game? I wasn't about to wait around to find out. If she wanted to play, I would set the rules this time. I started with the letter. No fingerprints. No distinct markings. Just plain white paper with 4 haunting words. Did you miss me? I had spent years rebuilding my life. Moving on. But Claire, she had spent those years watching, and that meant she had left a trail, a name from the past he called. Megan. She picked up on the first ring. Tell me you're joking. I didn't have to say a word. She already knew. She's back, I confirmed. Silence. Then, you sure? I saw her. I hesitated. At least I think I did. Megan exhaled. I'll look into it. I also need you to check. On Daniel, she groaned. James, why? That idiot isn't worth your time. Because if she's back, she's playing him again. And if I know Daniel, he'll let her. Another pause. Fine. But you owe me a drink for this. I almost laughed. I'll buy you a whole damn bar if you find her. Because once we did, this time, I was going to make sure Claire disappeared forever. Trail of ashes, it didn't take long. 2 days later, Megan called back. You're not gonna like this, she said. Tell me anyway. Claire's been staying at the Hawthorne. I frowned. The Hawthorne? The luxury hotel? Yeah, the Hawthorne. Expensive, exclusive, and way out of her price range. Unless, of course, she's not alone, I muttered. Megan's voice darkened. That's the bad news. She's not staying under her own name. She's using Daniel's. I cursed under my breath. That fool. That absolute pathetic fool. After everything she had done, cheating, lying, burning down my damn home, he was still letting her in. I clenched my jaw. I need to talk to him. Megan sighed. Thought you'd say that. He's at a bar downtown. Looks like he's been drinking all night. Perfect. Because I had some questions. A broken man. The bar was dimly lit, drowning in cigarette smoke and regret. And there, slumped over the counter, was Daniel. He looked worse than before, unshaven, shirt wrinkled. A half-empty whiskey glass in front of him. I slid onto the stool beside him. He didn't look up. If you're here to yell at me, get in line. I ignored the bitterness in his voice. Where's Claire? His grip tightened around his glass. Don't. No. Bullshit. He let out a hollow laugh. You think I want this, James? He turned to face me, eyes bloodshot. She showed up out of nowhere. Said she had changed. Said she loved me. He scoffed. I was stupid enough to believe her, again. She's using you. He let out a shaky breath. I know. I studied him. The Daniel I had known was arrogant, self-righteous, the golden child. Now, he was just a shell of a man. I almost pitied him. Almost. You need to walk away, I said quietly. Before she takes everything from you, too. His jaw tightened. You don't think I've tried? Something in his tone made me pause. I narrowed my eyes. What do you mean? He swallowed hard. I told her I was done. Last night. Told her to leave. And? His fingers curled into a fist, and she laughed. Said I could never leave her. A chill ran down my spine, because Claire never let go without a fight. And if Daniel had finally told her, no, that meant she had already planned her next move. The setup eye left Daniel at the bar, barely listening as he ordered another drink. Megan called as soon as I stepped outside. Just checked security cameras at the Hawthorne, she said. Claire left 2 hours ago. Took a cab. I frowned. Where to? That's the thing. She had the driver drop her off at your old address. My blood ran cold. The apartment she burned down? I asked. Yeah. She stood outside for a few minutes, just watching. A slow realization settled over me. She wasn't just playing games anymore. She was planning something bigger, and whatever it was, I was running out of time to stop it. One last move. I took a deep breath. If Claire wanted a game, I'd give her one. But this time, I wouldn't just play, I'd win. I dialed Megan again. Find out where Claire went after she left my old apartment, I said. What are you thinking? I stared into the darkness. I'm thinking it's time to end this. Megan worked fast. Less than an hour later, she called back. Got her, she said. She went to a storage unit outside the city. My pulse quickened. Storage unit? Yeah, rented under a fake name, but I traced the payment. She's been using it for months. A secret stash, a hideout, or something worse. I clenched my jaw. Send me the address. Megan hesitated. James, I have to do this. A beat of silence. Then finally, I'll meet you there. The warehouse. The storage facility was nearly deserted by the time I arrived. Rows of metal units stretched into the distance. They're rusted, locks glinting under flickering streetlights. Megan pulled up a few minutes later. She killed the engine, stepping out with a tense expression. You sure about this? She asked. I nodded. If she's hiding something, I need to know what. She exhaled. Then let's do it. We moved carefully, following the unit number Megan had. Traced. Unit 47. The padlock was new, too new. Megan pulled out a small crowbar from her bag. Step back. A few forceful tugs, and the lock snapped open. I pushed the door up and froze. Secrets in the dark inside, under a single flickering light bulb, was a wall covered in photos. My face, Daniel's face, Megan's, my parents'. Dozens of pictures, all carefully arranged. Some old, some new. Some taken from a distance, others up close. My stomach turned. Claire hadn't just been watching me, she had been tracking me. Megan inhaled sharply. Jesus, James! I forced myself to move, scanning the room. Stacks of old letters, legal documents. A half-burned wedding photo of me and Claire, and then in the corner a single chair, facing the wall, a place where she sat. Where she watched. Where she planned. Megan swallowed. This isn't just obsession, it's something worse. I turned to her. We have to find her. Now! The final call, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. A familiar voice, soft and mocking. Enjoying. My little collection? My fingers curled into a fist. Claire? She let out a light laugh. I wondered how long it would take you to find it. Where are you? A pause. Then, almost teasingly, close. My jaw tightened. This ends tonight. Yes, she murmured. It does. Then the line went dead. Megan's eyes were wide. What the hell was that? I exhaled slowly. Claire wasn't running anymore. She wanted me to find her, and something told me. I already knew where she was. The final confrontation. I drove fast. Back to where it all began. The ruins of my old apartment building. The place she burned. Megan followed close behind, gripping a flashlight as we stepped onto the abandoned lot. The air smelled like ash and rain, and in the middle of it all, a lone figure. Claire. She stood there in the dim light, her arms crossed, a smirk playing on her lips. You always were predictable, James, she said. I took a step forward. Why? She tilted her head. Why what? Why come back? Why the photos? The stalking? The fire? Her expression flickered. Then, quietly, because I wanted you to understand. Understand what? I snapped. She exhaled, looking almost tired. That you and I aren't so different. I let out a bitter laugh. You think we're the same? She smiled faintly. You hunted me down, tracked me, Just like I tracked you. Megan tensed beside me. That's not the same thing, Claire. Claire ignored her. You needed to find me, James, because without me, you don't have anything left to fight against. I clenched my fists. I have everything without you. She shook her head. Then why are you here? For a moment, I didn't have an answer. Because deep down, I knew she was right. This wasn't just about stopping her. It was about finishing something that had started long before the affair. Before the betrayal. This was about ending her. For good. She took a slow step closer. You don't have to fight me, James. I met her gaze. I'm not. She frowned. Megan pulled out her phone. You should go, Claire. The cops are on their way. Claire stiffened. For the first time, she looked truly shaken. You wouldn't, she whispered. I held her gaze. Try me. Her smirk finally faded. She took a step back. Then another. Then, without another word, she turned and ran. The end of the game. By the time the police arrived, Claire was gone. But I wasn't worried, because now she was the one running. Not me, not Daniel, not my family. For the first time in years, I felt free. Megan nudged me. Think she'll come back? I exhaled. Maybe. But this time, I'd be ready. And if Claire ever tried to crawl back into my life, I'd make damn sure she never left again. The end. The days after that night felt almost surreal. Claire's disappearance was like a dark cloud finally lifting from over me. The weight of years of manipulation, lies, and betrayal had been crushing, but now it was gone, or so I thought. Megan and I kept in touch, watching the news for any signs of Claire, but nothing came. She had vanished without a trace, and as much as I tried to convince myself that it was over, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was still out there. That something, she, was still watching. A new threat. It was a Tuesday. When I got the call, I was in my office catching up on work when my phone rang. Unknown number. My stomach dropped. I answered. James! A voice rasped. I froze. It wasn't Claire's voice, but the coldness, the tone was unmistakable. I have your family. The world seemed to stop. I stood up, my heart pounding. Who is this? It doesn't matter. The line clicked, and I was left with nothing but the sound of my own breath. The search my mind raced. My parents. Megan. Was it just a bluff? Or had Claire really gone so far as to hurt the people I loved? I grabbed my coat and ran out of the office. Megan was the first person I called. Claire? She asked immediately. I didn't answer. She said she has my family. I don't know where. Okay. Calm down. We'll find her, Megan said, her voice steady. But I wasn't calm. I could feel the old familiar pull of rage rising in me, the need to fix it, to stop her before she took something else from me. Find out where she's hiding. Now. I'm already on it. The moment I hung up, I called my parents, my heart in my throat. No answer. I cursed under my breath. I had to act fast. The hunt begins. Again, hours passed as we worked every lead, every piece of information we could find. Megan dug into Claire's past, searching for anything that might connect her to a place, an old contact, a place where she might have hidden. But all the roads led back to one place, the Hawthorne. Of course, the luxury hotel. It wasn't just a place for Claire to hide. It was a place for her to control. If she was there, it meant she was close. Too close. I couldn't waste another second. I drove there, my hands gripped tightly to the wheel. The anxiety gnawed at me, but my mind was sharp. I wasn't the same person I had been before. I wasn't the man she had once played. I was done being a pawn. The confrontation. I stormed into the Hawthorne's lobby, heart pounding in my chest. The receptionist looked up, startled. Can I help you, sir? Where is she? I demanded. my voice low but laced with fury. Who? Claire! Her eyes flickered nervously. I'm afraid I can't give you that information. I stepped forward, leaning in, my voice turning cold. You will. I'm not asking anymore. The woman hesitated, then finally nodded, pulling up her computer. She typed something in, her fingers trembling. Room 312. I didn't waste another second. I took the elevator to the third floor, Megan already on her way, waiting outside the hotel. When I reached room 312, I stopped outside the door. I could hear muffled voices inside, Claire's voice. I steadied myself. I couldn't let her manipulate me again. I knocked, hard. The voices inside stopped. There was a long pause before Claire's voice came through the door. I know you're there, James. I didn't answer. I just kicked the door in. The final showdown inside. Claire stood by the window, her back to me. She was holding something. A phone. Her eyes met mine in the reflection. You really think you've won, don't you? She asked softly. I'm here for my family, Claire. Let them go. She didn't move. You think this is still about them? It was never about them, James. I stepped closer, my voice steady but filled with intent. Then what was it about, Claire? Why the games? The lies? The destruction? She turned around slowly, as though savoring the moment. It was about control, she said, her eyes darkening. You were never supposed to leave me. And you did. I narrowed my eyes. You made sure I'd leave you, with everything you did to me, to Daniel, to everyone you touched. She tilted her head, almost pitying. You still don't get it. This isn't about you or Daniel. This is about me. I was always the one in control. You just didn't know it until now. She raised the phone, and my blood froze. A picture popped. Up on the screen, my parents, tied up, in a dark room. A voice crackled from the other end. James, if you want them alive, you'll come with me. Alone. I felt the weight of the threat hanging in the air. Claire wasn't just playing. She was all in now. But I wasn't going to fall for it. Not again. I clenched my jaw. You know, I'll never come alone, she smiled, a cold, cruel smile. We'll see about that. Before I could react, she turned and rushed out the door, disappearing into the shadows of the hallway. I was already moving. There was no way I was going to let her get away with this. Not again. This time I would end it, once and for all. The endgame as I raced through the hotel. I felt the familiar tension rise. A new beginning. The days after Claire's capture passed in a blur. The authorities moved quickly, securing my family's safety, and Claire was locked away, her fate now in the hands of the justice system. As for me, well, for the first time, in what felt like forever, I could breathe. But it wasn't as easy as just moving on. The past had a way of clawing back, lingering in the corners of your mind even after the dust settled. I couldn't just forget what Claire had done to me, to my family. But now, I had the choice of what to do with it. My parents, bruised but alive, were recovering. The relief on their faces when they saw me wasn't just for their safety. It was for mine. They knew deep down that this battle had been as much about me as it was about them, and I wasn't going to let the shadow of the past keep me from moving forward. But then, one evening, as the sunset painted the sky in shades of orange and purple, Megan called. James, her voice was strained. We need to talk. The conversation. I met Megan at the small cafe where we'd first sat down to discuss Claire's disappearance. We were both a bit different now, worn by the experiences, but somehow stronger for it. I knew her well enough to hear the weight in her voice. Is something wrong? I asked, sitting down across from her. She glanced around the cafe before leaning in. It's about Claire. There's something you need to know. My stomach tightened. What is it? Megan looked around once more, then pulled a folder from her bag and slid it across the table. Inside were papers, documents, photographs, and things I hadn't seen before. Things that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. "I didn't want to bring this up before," she began, her eyes darkening. "But we've been going through Claire's personal files, stuff she kept hidden, even from the authorities." I didn't speak. I just opened the folder and started scanning. "The documents. Claire had more connections than we realized," Megan continued. "People she's been working with, people who might still be in the background. These aren't just her last-minute plans, they're years of scheming. And it looks like she had something bigger in mind. Something that wasn't just about getting revenge on you." I felt the blood drain from my face. "What are you saying?" Megan's eyes were serious. "I'm saying Claire wasn't acting alone. She's just a part of something much, much bigger. And if we don't stop it now, we could be facing even worse." The hidden network couldn't breathe for a moment. It felt like the world around me was spinning again. After everything we'd been through, after all the pain, the destruction, I thought I could finally let go. I thought Claire was the only problem, but now it seemed like there was something more. "Who's behind this?" I asked, barely able to get the words out. Megan flipped open another page in the folder. "It's not just one person, James. It's a network, a group of powerful people that Claire had been working with. People who have a lot to lose if their secrets come out. They don't just want to destroy you, they want control." I leaned back in my chair, trying to make sense of it all. "But why? Why me?" Megan's voice dropped to a whisper. "Because you were in the way. You had the connections, the resources. They thought you were a threat to their power, so they used Claire to tear you down, to manipulate you, to make you powerless. Now that she's been caught, they'll go to any lengths to make sure you don't expose them." I shook my head in disbelief. "I can't believe this." "I know it's a lot," Megan said quietly. "But we need to figure out who's behind it before they strike again." The choice, it was clear now. This was far from over. Claire may have been the one pulling the strings, but she wasn't the only one. There were shadows out there, pulling the levers of power, and now they knew they had a problem to fix. Me. I looked across the table at Megan. "What do we do?" She leaned forward, her expression intense. "We find them before they find us. We start digging. We go after every lead we can. I won't let them destroy everything we've worked for." I looked at the documents in the folder, feeling a sense of resolve building inside me. I'd fought too long, too hard to be torn down by people who thought they could control me. I was done being a pawn, done being their puppet. Megan was right. If this network was as powerful as she said, we couldn't afford to wait. We had to take the fight to them before they could get to us. "Let's do it," I said, my voice firm. "Let's finish this." Megan smiled, a glint of determination in her eyes. "This time, we're the ones who control the game. The investigation begins." The weeks that followed were filled with research, interviews, and constant investigation. Megan and I spent countless hours digging into the files Claire had left behind, working through every connection, every name, and every hidden detail. The deeper we dug, the more terrifying the picture became.